Right, so we were studying vasculitis. Already we have discussed that in the large vessels, the vasculitis is Takayasu vasculitis and temporal giant cell temporal arteritis. Then we were talking about the medium-sized vessels vasculitis, where we have right now studied previously Kawasaki's vasculitis, is that right? And other two important vasculitis in the medium-sized vessel is Polyarteritis Nodosa and Berger's disease, right? You can say the triangle of medium-sized vasculitis is Kawasaki. Now, Kawasaki disease is very easy to remember. This is Kawasaki baby. So, it's in the babies. Then there is Polyarteritis Nodosa. This is severe necrotizing vasculitis of medium-sized arteries. Which arteries? Visceral arteries, deep arteries, right? Visceral arteries mostly. And then Berger's disease. Berger's disease is also arteritis of medium-sized vessel, but it is not visceral. This is digital arteries like ulnar arteries, radial arteries, right? So this is very easy that all of them have one unique feature. Kawasaki disease is in infants. Polyarteritis nodosa is vasculitis of visceral vessels, arteries, visceral arteries, and Berger disease is arterial inflammation of peripheral arteries like digital arteries or limb arteries. And here you have to remember arteritis is so severe that it secondarily may lead to inflammation of veins and nerves also, and it is strongly associated with males who smoke heavily. But right now we will concentrate our attention to Polyarteritis Nodosa. Now first of all, why we call it Polyarteritis Nodosa? Polyarteritis Nodosa, because in this patient the multiple vessels which have multiple arteries which are inflamed, right? Medium sized arteries which are inflamed, or smaller size, mainly medium sized arteries which are inflamed. In Polyarteritis Nodosa, arterioles, capillaries and venules are not inflamed. Arterioles, capillaries and venules are not inflamed. This is inflammation of medium sized artery. Polyarteritis because multiple arteries are involved, right? Poly mean many, arteritis mean inflammation. So multiple arterial inflammations leading to formation of nodes, because when arterial walls become severely inflamed, arterial walls swell up and they make large nodes, or there are aneurysm formation. So what really happens in this condition, that this condition is usually common in young adult. It is a multisystemic arteritis. Multiple systems in the body may be inflamed and typically involving renal vessels and visceral vessels, and classically it spares the pulmonary circulation. So you can say this is an arteritis of systemic arterial system, not pulmonary arterial system, right? Clinical features. Okay, let me tell you first of all what happens in the arteries. Suppose this is a visceral artery, it may be renal artery, or it may be mesenteric artery, or it may be hepatic artery, any visceral artery. Number one, you have to remember that in these patients, inflammation is throughout the wall, from intima, media, adventitia. Such inflammation which involve the complete wall of the vessel, this is called transmural inflammation. So we can say in Polyarteritis Nodosa, there is transmural inflammation of medium-sized arteries. And in this inflammatory process, a very important point to remember that usually there is almost always some fibrinoid necrosis. There is some fibrinoid necrosis. You may be remembering from immunology, fibrinoid necrosis in vascular media is a hallmark of immune complex disease. That in these patients, maybe there are some immune complexes circulating which get deposited into arterial wall, and then those immune complexes activate the complements, attract the neutrophil and other inflammatory cells, right? That is why about 30% of the patients with Polyarteritis Nodosa are having hepatitis B surface antigen positive. Again, Polyarteritis Nodosa, about 30% of the patients are hepatitis B surface antigen positive, but very typically Polyarteritis Nodosa is not associated with ANCA. It is not associated with anti-neutrophil cytoplasmic antibodies. It is not associated with anti-neutrophil cytoplasmic antibodies, not associated. Polyarteritis nodosa, right? And again, it's so easy to remember that when there is severe antigen antibody complex deposition and complement activation, neutrophils come, and then this disease may be initially acute, in some cases it may become chronic, right? And as lesions are advancing, not only you will have their neutrophils, you may have their macrophages, you may have their lymphocytes, in some cases you may even have, what is this? Eosinophils, right? And these inflammatory cells along with fibrinoid necrosis, right, they produce severe inflammation and weakness of the vessel wall, and when vessel wall become inflamed, thickened and weak, right, when it becomes weak, it may bulge out like this. It may bulge out like this, and that may lead to aneurysm formation or nodule formation in the vessels. So multiple arteries are inflamed segmentally. Segmentally means one piece of the artery is inflamed, right, circumferentially or only partially, or other piece is not inflamed, then another piece of or another segment of artery is inflamed. So this is basically segmental vasculitis, medium size artery vasculitis. It is immune complex associated vasculitis. It is systemic arterial vasculitis, not pulmonary arterial vasculitis, and it may involve many viscera. And of course, when it is involving the viscera, and these vessels many times get thrombosed even from within, and inflamed vessels may have reduced blood supply either due to thickness of the wall which encroaches on the lumen or some thrombus formation. So blood supply to the dependent tissue is reduced. So reduction in blood supply clinically may manifest if a tissue, for example, here's a tissue and that tissue was having artery and this artery is having polyarteritis nodosa. What will happen to this dependent tissue? Number one, if there is gradual reduction in blood flow, there may be ischemic degeneration of tissue. And if there is sudden reduction in the blood supply to the tissue, and then some necrotic surface of the tissue may slough off. For example, from my head, some vessel which is coming to the skin, and if that is thrombosed and inflamed, and blood supply to a patch of skin is reduced, then that lining of the skin will undergo necrosis and it may slough off. And the defect which is left behind is called ulcer. How do you define ulcer? Ulcer is a defect produced in the external or internal linings of the body due to sloughing off some necrotic tissue, right? So ulcerations may occur due to polyarteritis nodosa. Then polyarteritis nodosa may lead to infarctions. If there is severe reduction in blood supply to some viscera, right, that may lead to infarction. For example, if coronary artery is involved, it may lead to myocardial infarction. If mesenteric arteries vasculitis occur, polyarteritis nodosa of some mesenteric arteries occur, that may lead to GIT gangrene, and GIT piece of GIT may undergo infarction, and then of course bacteria will multiply there and produce gangrene, right? And sometimes even these necrotic area, these vasculitic areas, inflamed areas may rupture and hemorrhage may occur in the tissue. So what are the changes in the tissue? That any tissue which is having polyarteritis nodosa lesion in its vessel, it may undergo ischemic degeneration, or it may develop ulceration of its lining, or it may develop infarction or even hemorrhage, right? When polyarteritis nodosa point, right, inflamed point of the vessel may rupture and produce hemorrhage. Now, clinically, what are the clinical features of these patients classically? Basically, these patients develop two types of clinical features. The systemic clinical features, they are systemic and there are local. Systemic clinical features which are due to cytokines, because at many points arteries are inflamed and a lot of inflammatory cells are there which are producing cytokines. So those cytokines may produce some systemic manifestations like there may be fever, there may be malaise, there may be fatigability, there may be anorexia, and of course if disease becomes prolonged, that may produce weight loss, right? These are the systemic features of disease, and of course these cytokines may act on the liver and may produce some acute phase reactant proteins. So these patients may have high ESR and high levels of C-reactive protein. Then local features depend on that vessel to which tissue or which organ is inflamed. For example, if mesenteric artery is inflamed, right, then of course you will develop abdominal pain, and if some part of the GIT become gangrenous, then you may develop melena, right, and severe abdominal pain. Then in the same way, if vessels to kidney are involved, a part of kidney may undergo necrosis, right, or blood supply to kidney is reduced, and ischemia to the kidney may activate the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone axis, which lead to hypertension in the patient, right. Then if vessel, small or medium sized vessel serving the nerves are inflamed and multiple areas in different nerves become infarcted, right, that may produce mononeuritis multiplex. Right, again one thing you have to remember that very commonly polyarteritis nodosa involves the renal vessel, but it does not produce glomerulonephritis. How do you treat these patients? But before treatment, remember 30% of the patient of polyarteritis nodosa they are positive for hepatitis B surface antigen. Secondly, this disease is typically not associated with ANCA. And sometimes this disease is very severe that if it is not treated, it may be fatal. But these days, with proper immunosuppression, 90% of the patient can be hoped to be recovered, right? Because disease is severe, so initially we try corticosteroids. But if corticosteroid cannot suppress the immune system enough, and in spite of the good therapy of corticosteroids, if polyarteritis nodosa symptomatology is still there, then we give cyclophosphamide, which are more stronger immunosuppressive drugs. Is there any question? There's no question. Last is